If your car leaves the line looking like Shamu waving to the crowd, you've got a problem. When it leaves the line with one wheel way up in the air, that's inconsistent, unpredictable, hard to control, and you're leaving a lot on the table. Today we're ending the twist. Here's how I'm setting up the anti-roll bar on the back of my El Camino, and why you might need one too. And I want to be clear, there's a lot of people that get this confused. A sway bar is for handling. An anti-roll bar tends to be for drag racing and resisting some serious twist. A sway bar, a rear sway bar especially, doesn't have the same level of rigidity and is meant to have a little bit of give and is typically partnered with a good front sway bar. Between the two, you promote good, even handling. But let's face it, on a drag car with a big anti-roll bar and no front bar, the only thing that promotes is the car leaving dead straight every time. And this is an anti-roll bar. It's a tool to get the car to leave flat, straight, and level. It's a big torsion bar. The idea is to resist any chassis twist, so that way the rear end moves together. A lot of these cars had a factory optioned rear sway bar. And that rear sway bar is a lot better than nothing, especially when you're lower powered and just looking to get the car to generally work better. I ran the factory F41 rear sway bar on this car on the track for a lot of years. But when you're really starting to put down some power, better than nothing doesn't quite cut it, and you really gotta consider stepping up to something big. But how do you know if you actually need to put a big anti-roll bar on the back of your car? Well, if you're on the hunt for quicker 60-foot times and you're really putting the power down, if you're starting to see some significant chassis twists, that's a good sign you really ought to step up your game. If you're getting serious, this isn't just an upgrade. This is a requirement. At the time, my car was running about a 180 60-foot time. That was a bottom 13 second. That big anti-roll bar helped me trim my 60 foots down to a mid to low 170 60-foot time. It made a significant difference and made the car a lot more predictable on launch. It went dead straight every time. So if the car is moving around on launch, that's a good sign you need one. But if you've got one and the car is just not acting right, that's a good sign that it needs a little bit more tuning. When I put the A-body 12 bolt in the back of this El Camino, I threw it together in like a day to make it to a race. And the car really hasn't ever been quite right. It's been good enough, I've just worked with it, but I can clearly see that my geometry isn't right, my preload isn't right, the car isn't quite as predictable as it used to be. Let's fix that. When you're doing setup and tuning like this, you want to have the car as close to ride height as possible. I've got it jacked up at the differential, and granted I have jack sensor under the frame, but it's the best I can do with what I've got right now. So we want to first disconnect the end links and make sure the sway bar moves through its arc. I can tell you mine already has a little bit of twist to it, indicating there's problems, and there's other things that show that. So before we go too far into getting some tuning done on this one, I want to point out that there are two main styles of the big anti-roll bar. There's the ones that have some saddles and bolt under the differential with arms that run forward, and you're able to connect that to the frame or chassis. The other ones are above the differential, typically weld in, and have some long arms that reach down to the differential. For this case, I've got the one that bolts under the differential, and it does the job pretty darn well. So here's one of my first signs there's a problem. I've got both ends undone, and it does not move freely. My first step is to throw a little bit of grease at those grease zerks, and then I need to square up those saddles. Right now, that one's twisted farther back, and that one's twisted kind of far forward. So I know, in a perfect world, that sway bar is going to be, or that anti-roll bar, see, I even caught myself saying it. That anti-roll bar would be level or parallel with the lower control arm. Not quite going to happen here because I don't have that much adjustment on those spherical rod ends. But from here, what I'm going to do is set these up so that way they're as close to visually vertical as I can get. Close enough is nearly good enough on this one, and then I'm going to lock down the rotation of the anti-roll bar to the differential. And since it's as good as it's going to get right now, I think it's time to lock it down. So with everything locked down into place on the differential, I've got the arms that go forward, the bolts slide nicely into their brackets up there, but now it's an important thing called preload. It's time to preload that sway bar a little bit, because no matter how we work it, these cars are going to have more of a tendency to lift the left front. Rotation of the engine, torque, all that kind of stuff. Left front's always going to want to come up first. So to counteract that, we want to put some preload in there. The preload, we can either shorten the driver's side or lengthen the passenger side. The idea is we want a little bit of pull on that right out of the gate, so that way it comes up as level as possible. Now on this, I'm probably going to add about a turn or two of preload. Since these aren't double adjustable, I'm single adjustable, so I have to 1, 2, and then I have to lift up on the sway bar, the anti-roll bar, just a little bit to get it back in its bracket. So I'm going to do that. It's going to take a jack, probably a piece of wood, and we'll get this thing into place. Now everything is locked back down. It's good to go. So recap, square up the bar. Make sure it's running perpendicular to the axis of travel, or parallel. I don't know why I said that. Parallel to the differential. You have nice clean motion throughout its range of motion. The vertical bars are as vertical as possible. Wow, I cannot speak tonight, can you tell? So make sure those vertical bars are as close to vertical when viewed from the side as possible. Bonus points if you can get them truly as, plumb or vertical as possible in every direction. And then add a little bit of preload. Pick your side. I shortened up the driver's side, lifted up that sway bar just a little bit, anti-roll bar. Lift it up just a little bit, put the bolt back in, and lock everything down. This isn't hard, and this is one of those steps that'll improve the consistency and the way the car handles on track. Not that it has to handle, but you know what I mean. It goes in a straight line the way it's supposed to. Setting up the anti-roll bar isn't hard. And it's not about guessing. It's about paying attention to what's going on in the car. Now, let's say we get on the track and that left front comes up a little bit further than we want. Well, we tighten up the preload just a little bit more. It's not hard. It's about getting the little things right. But as is anything with a race car, the little things matter. And now that we're done, this car has no choice but to leave flat. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you're curious about the theory behind instant center and other suspension geometry, check this video out over here.